and now it's time to meet DC Kenny Hardy. Instantly a crack rang out and Hardy hit the deck, rolling under a nearby bench in one desperate movement. The shot hit woodwork and Hardy let out a gasp of relief that was almost over before it begun. The DC hazarded a quick glance from under the bench. The Ned was off his mark once again. Hardy staggered to his feet and made for the bridge. As he looked along the footspan, he had to blink to share his disbelief at the scene now confronting him. The Ned was bolting at full speed straight towards him. At the other end of the bridge, a tactical firearms unit vehicle had just screeched to a halt, and two black uniform-clad figures were taking the first steps on the bridge. Hardy could see, even from the opposite end of the bridge, the levelling of the heckler and cocks of his armed colleagues. The robber had decided, presumably without much thought, that the portly detective was by far the easier option when it came to his own survival. The robber's pistol was out again and assuming its familiar position, pointing straight at Hardy. Oh fuck, thought Hardy, this is it. In the distance he heard, "Stop! Armed police!" shouted by the TFU officers. A shot cracked across the bridge and Hardy jumped, but as the DC hit water he found he wasn't alone in the drink, for the gunman broke the surface almost simultaneously. The grimy fluid of the Clyde closed over him, as Hardy's first thought was, "Fuck, I've been shot. Is this what it feels like?" The murky depths continued to envelop him, and he sank deeper, panic beginning to seep through. He tried to decide whether he would die of the bullet wound or drown first. "Come on, son, give it a fucking go," he told himself, and kicked for the surface, wondering if he had enough oxygen in his nicotine-stained lungs to fire him through. Piercing flickers of the bright spring sunshine made him realise that he was almost there. "Keep going," the voice in his head said. The cool air hit his face and Hardy knew he'd made it. Breathing hard and trying to stay calm, he spat out the gut-wrenching contents of the river. Hardy looked down at the cold fluid splashing around his torso and gritted his teeth, fearing the worst. But there was no red liquid spreading out from his substantial midriff. A voice from the bridge punctured Hardy's thoughts. "You all right, mate? Can you make it to the side?" Hardy almost surprised himself when he heard his voice shout, "No bother, bud." And sure enough, his arms worked, one in front of the other, as he swam to the river bank. Then smack, his leading hand rapped against a solid, sodden object bobbing in the water to his right. "Fucking tired, this shithole was full of them," thought Hardy. Wrong. Seeping from the floating form of the now deceased robber were his vital fluids, mingling with the putrid water in an ever-widening ruby pool. Robber number 2 was indeed dead, and belly up in his watery grave in the Clyde. "Well, fuck you, matey," said Kenny Hardy.